Hello, and welcome to the Black Dice Society. Rudolph Van Richten. The light of the beacon in Argenvolstholt illuminated all of Barovia. Word very quickly reaching you in your own adventures that something was happening in the dread domain, the stronghold of your arch-enemy Strahd von Zarovich. By the time you got there, however, it seemed like the trouble had been resolved. The gray, cold, crushing oppression of Barovia seemed to have been lifted, and as you crossed its boundaries freely, there were no mists, there were no wolves. You could see the sun hanging in the sky for the first time in any time that you could remember. You quickly made your way through Barovia, meeting the odd townsperson, and each of them told you the exact same unbelievable story. Strahd von Zarovich had been defeated in battle. He rode out with his entire host to Argenvolstholt, and although it seemed like they were victorious, soon after something happened, and a great earthquake had gone out through the land. In the mists, it parted, and the sun had risen again. There were various stories of adventurers, not a small number of people claiming that you yourself had struck the countdown, Van Richten, of you being a local hero, of course. But now you are making your way back to Castle Ravenloft. It stands cold and imposing, stabbing at the sky as it always did, but now it stands silent. What would you like to do?
I've crossed this threshold before in my attempts to best the beast. So I stand there at the threshold, wondering if I want to step foot in, wondering if the rumors are true, wondering if the nightmare is indeed over. I steel myself, sharp intake of breath, and I cross the threshold into Castle Ravenloft.
As you do, your hand hovering over your sword cane, ready as ever, there's nothing. In the past, it was like the building itself groaned, trying to eject you from this place where you were truly and fundamentally unwelcome. The howls of various beasts, the groans of tormented souls that could not escape its walls, all silent as you make your way inside the castle.
Within me, I feel a jumble of emotions. And one that surprises me is tremendous sadness. For if indeed the beast had been bested, much of my life's work is now complete, ill-defined, if you will. The haze of an unwritten future stands in front of me, but I must confirm the rumors.
As you make your way carefully, cautiously, down into the depths, you see some signs of a hasty exit, which, if Strahd had ordered the full strength of his hosts north, the fact that so many would have gone pouring out quickly is probably accurate. Until you make your way down into the depths of the crypts, to a false wall that your research had led you to conclude would be there. If Strahd is anywhere, his coffin is in the crypt on the other side of that wall.
Of course, my mind races, wonders if it is indeed a trap, if all of this is an illusion. So I check, reach within the magic within myself to see if this is indeed something laid before me to entrap me, to best me. I stroke the walls, I feel the cold stone, and I make my way towards the crypt.
As you reach out with your senses both mystical and mundane, there is no sign of your old enemy. And as you press on the wall, opening the secret passage, you do hear tiny footsteps echoing in the darkness. And a giggle that wafts ominously through the silence.
I grip the hilt of my sword. I'm ready, but I don't show any external fear.
Yee! Wee! Woo! Who are you? Whoa! Where did you come from, sir?
Now, if I wasn't me, this might be a strange sight. But this is maybe the 15th strangest thing I've seen this week.
Oh, thanks
But
for putting me down
Not
like
the
that.
strangest. I immediately can tell that I don't feel any sense of impending danger from this. And I say, Puppet, do you have a name?
Oh, I do, sir. It is Piddlewick 2 at your service.
Van Richter,
There's an assumption there was a Piddlewick one, yes.
in Strahd's sarcophagus, which you've never laid eyes on yourself, it is raw, rough-hewn stone, as hard and as unostentatious as the man was himself. And there is a pile of ashes, as you would come to expect. And in those ashes, there are footprints, and Piddlewick is very clearly covered in them.
You've been standing on the ashes of my enemy. I take in my vest. I take out a small glass vial with a cork, and I scoop some of the beast's ashes into the vial, and I put it amongst myself, and I also say a little prayer. And again, it's having danced with the demon so many times. I do have a sense of sadness at this loss.
You do? Speaking of dancing, that's what I've been doing on those ashes, dancing on them. He was a real jerk.
So, Puppet,
I have a name. It's Piddlewick 2. We've been down this road.
I'm still strucken by your sight, and I keep reminding myself that
Well,
that's what I'm speaking.
you and me both, Sirrah.
What, you don't see humans?
Castle's been
often?
empty for, I don't know. I can't really tell time all that well, but I'm going to say 2 summers?
2 summers. You've been in here 2 summers?
Maybe 2 seasons. I don't even know what summer is. I've never been outside.
So, Piddlewick 2 or the second, which do you prefer?
Oh, the second sounds fancy. So
Done.
please call me Piddlewick.
So, Piddlewick the
2.
second.
Oh, you went fancy anyway.
Pardon?
Jay.
You can call me Van Richten.
No, not the Van Richten.
I get that a lot. No,
Come, dance with me on the ashes. My master hated you the most.
And, well,
come on, I'll sing a
looks
song.
like I won. Now, you'll sing the song?
I'll sing a song. I don't know what the
Like
song
any song?
is.
I didn't know if there was Van Richten songs that he may have sung about me.
There will be one if we dance.
You and I?
I didn't bring anyone else, so it's gonna have to be just the 2 of us.
Piddlewick the second.
Yes.
You stand here covered in the ashes of my enemy.
Yes,
You clearly may have
rolling.
knowledge. You rolled in them.
Yes.
You have a very specific fetish, Puppet.
Well, hey, whoa, hey! Don't you keep shaming
I'm
me.
not
Don't you come into my
shaming
castle.
you. I'm not shaming
me.
you. I'm saying very
All right,
specific.
sir.
Rolling in vampires' ashes is a very
Nobody
specific
said
thing.
anything about there being anything.
I'm not saying I haven't done it myself.
Oh, let's talk then. Isn't it awesome?
It's not bad.
Not
Puppet.
bad. Come on,
Piddlewick
man.
the
You brought
second.
it up. It's clearly at the
What?
forefront of your mind.
I'm reading.
Anyway, moving on. What brings you here?
I am the mortal enemy of the beast that lay dead. It is obvious the
late.
reasons why I would have interest in what transpired in this room. Do you have any knowledge of it?
Oh, I have all the knowledge of it. I watched the whole thing from up there in my bear watch perch.
A what watch perch?
I watch for bears up there. I'm always on bear duty. Oh.
Question: Is that something that was a necessity in the castle?
I don't know.
To watch out for bears?
I am clearly have been very good at my job because I have never in my life seen a bear. So
well,
I have successfully kept them out of Castle Ravenloft. You're welcome.
Right. So watching them somehow keeps them away.
An army of bears. I take credit. You're welcome.
I believe we've strayed from the subject at hand, Piddlewick.
I'm good at that.
I will keep you on subject.
Please do, or everyone is going to be angry at me again.
The ashes of the beast.
Thank you to the people that did away with.
Who are you talking to?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's just me here.
I'm just talking to.
It's just me here. There's a tremendous amount of empty in this castle, and it's just you and me.
Well, it's just been me for quite some time.
And so I see this is why you're such a chatterbox. I get it. You have so much to say and had nobody to say it with and no bears to watch. So tell me,
Merry
please.
Murder Stick is also a shush stick. I'll shush. Shh.
That's a merry murder stick.
Yes, it's my magical Merry Murder Stick. Shh.
I'm making
Piddlewick is on shushing time now. Would you like to see where Piddlewick 1 died?
What I would like.
Downstairs, just over there. It's almost as if someone pushed him, but maybe they didn't. Shh.
The shush stick. How about I hold the stick while one of us is talking?
Here you go.
Okay. So I'm holding the talking stick.
Yes.
What transpired in this room that resulted in the death of my enemy? And I give the stick back to you.
He died.
That's apparent. Transpired. How did he die? Who took the life of the beast? You have the stick.
Yes, he was a transpire, but we didn't really talk about it much, but no judgment here.
Who killed Strahd?
A group.
This is getting us nowhere. Well, I'm going to make my way out of here. I guess I'm just going to leave. Oh, you have something to suddenly... Oh, would you like the stick?
Okay, I will take you to the group if you get me out of this castle. I've never been outside. I want to go on an adventure. I want to be your new sidekick.
You can take me to the people that took the life of this beast, yes?
If you make me your new sidekick. We will go on an adventure.
I'm going to warn you. I've unfortunately gone through many sidekicks. It's a very hazardous profession.
I've gone through many masters.
If I'm honest with you. All right. And I pat my shoulder and invite him up to ride me, sort of rocket and
although Piddlewick may seem small here, he's actually about the size of a child. You could carry him, Van Richten, but he's not little.
And I'm not.
You're not little.
No,
so I learned that lesson very quickly. As he scrambles up my body, I'm sort of crumbling a bit, and I rethink the offer.
Find me, Daddy. Let's go, Papa.
I put him back down on the ground.
Can I still call you Papa?
Von Richten will do. Can I call you
Very
Puppet?
Good, Papa Von Richten. Let us go!
And Van Richten, as Piddlewick 2 makes his way out of Strahd's crypt with disturbing haste, is there anything else you do before you leave this place?
I touch my fingers to my mouth, and then I touch my fingers to the crypt. And then I actually wipe a tear away and turn and chase the puppet.
And hello and welcome to the Black Dice Society. This is Season 2, Episode 14, The Brightest Day. As always, Black Dice Society is a horror show. As such, there may be content that you aren't accustomed to encountering in other D&D streams. As always, I'm aware of the cast lines and veils. We have a set of safety tools in place. If somebody's uncomfortable, they can let me know. So if a scene should stop abruptly, it might be because someone is uncomfortable. As always, take care of yourself. Comfort and consent are the most important things. Before I give you the names of our wonderful sponsors, let us introduce everyone who is here, beginning with our very special guest, the professor himself, Rudolph Van Richten. Who are you, sir? How might people know you?
My name is Todd Stashwick. I am an actor, a writer, dungeon master, gamer. You may have seen me on a show on Hulu called 12 Monkeys, or on the Disney Channel and the live action Kim Possible as Dr. Draken, or as Dracula in the black and white episode of Supernatural. Those are just a few of the things that I've done. I also write video games and such. I have a game coming out in October that I co-wrote called Forspoken, and I'm currently working with Skydance New Media on a Marvel video game. You can find me on Twitter at Todd Stashwick, or Insta at T Stashwick.
A really great book about tiki drinks too.
Yes.
That's
and I have a Dungeons and Dragons inspired.
More this way. You're kind of cropped. I don't want you to cover your moneymaker, but there you go. Yes, Mystic Libations.
A Dungeons and Dragons inspired tiki cocktail book called Mystic Libations at thenerdcircus.com.
I can verify it's great. Also, as we established earlier, maybe you're on a number of posters hanging on the walls of my room, like whatever.
I'm the Sean Cassidy of your life.
Also, returning champion, Mr. Lucky Yates.
Yeah!
Woohoo!
It's Piddlewick too.
Hello.
Hello! Hello! Hey.
Archer and anywhere else that you would want to plug that people might see or
Oh,
find
yeah,
you.
I write a comic book with Eric Powell of the Goon and Hillbilly fame. He and I are doing, it's called Lester of the Lesser Gods. It's a fantasy comic comedy set in the apocalypse about a 36-year-old LARPer that discovers he's actually the son of Odin in the apocalypse, and it's a lot of funny. I don't know, is it funny, Mark?
It's very funny.
Mark's read them.
So
check out Albatross Exploding Funny Books. They hit stands this month, I believe.
So what you're saying is it's autobiographical. That's what you're telling me?
Whoa. Man, I wish. I'm living vicariously through Lester, yes.
I was about to say, you're not the son of Odin. We haven't checked. I'm just saying.
No. Now, whatever the Lithuanian thunder god is, that's me.
Mr. Mark Meir.
Hello, I'm Mark Meir. I use he, him pronouns, as does my character, Firan Zalhonen, the Archmage, also known as Uncle Sus. I check. That tells him that.
Oh.
Tanya to pass.
How do I follow that? I'm Fen, your blood hunter with a bit of warlock. Both Fen's pronouns and mine are she, her, and she's a drow. I keep forgetting that, but yeah.
She is a drow. The half vampire, the other half is drow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nora.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nora Ibrahim. You can find me everywhere online at Noralogical. My pronouns are she, her, as is my character, Nahara, who is a reborn Fallen Azamar undead warlock with a few levels of College of the Spirit Bard, here for all of your spooky foreshadowing.
And Sage.
Hello, I am Sage Ryan. I go by Not Sage or Pixel Circus everywhere on the internet. And tonight I am playing Valentine. Valentine is a reborn aberrant mind sorcerer and a very polite and well-mannered woman. We both use she, her pronouns.
Unequivocally the sweetest being. Like, we checked,
I've known to be.
DJ.
Oh, hi, I'm DJ Knight. You can find me on the internet as DJ Knight pretty much everywhere. I play Desmond, a human ranger lycanthrope. We're here to have some fun. Thanks for hanging out with us.
And Becca.
Muted.
I'm muted.
Dramatic pause. She's always worth it.
Very light checks.
It's just
The
super
lightest of
quiet.
checks
Hello,
right now.
hello. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, a list
We just had to
table.
wiggle things.
I mean,
I was wondering.
when
I
in
tried to
doubt.
say something snarky about that Todd wasn't doing very much. Anyway, hi, I'm Becca Scott. You can find me on my Twitch channel, The Becca Scott, or on my YouTube channel, Good Time Society. And I do lots of board game things. But here I am, Tatiana Asteria. I am an air genasi and a barbarian and a druid. I do all the things. Also, yeah, no, that's it.
You no. Hey, are you feeling better? By the way, you were
Well-
laid low last week. Are you good?
We streamed today and feeling much better. I had the COVIDs, everyone. It sucks. It sucks a lot. And I still feel icky, but I've passed my 10-day quarantine, so I guess I can exist in the world again.
Yep. Yeah. It's something's going wrong there. Yep. You're kind of coming in and out. Perfect. Normally, we just kind of jump in, and I don't even say anything about me, but I am non-ironically TV's B. Dave Walters. This time got two things. One, I just yesterday began my run dungeon mastering on Legends of the Multiverse on D&D, Twitch, and YouTube, so check that out Wednesdays at 5 Pacific. You can catch the VOD. Brennan ran the first 4 episodes, and then I'm running 12. And then something else is going to happen, so there you go. Check that out. Also, can finally announce running D&D for the cast of Stranger Things next Thursday morning, 9 a.m. And it's going to be all over the interwebs on Netflix, Geeked, Twitch, and YouTube, and TikTok, and Instagram, and I don't know. It's going to be everywhere, but check it out. It was kind of bananas. We took the long way around, so I'm just going to say real quick, thank you to Die Hard Dice, thank you to Secret Lab Chairs, thank you to Idle Champions. I realize the code has not popped up in chat yet. I hope it's going to before we're done. Thank you to Warriors of Waterdeep. As always, we have our TeePublic store. You can get our swag. You can put exclam BDS art in chat to get our wonderful print, and so on and so forth. And with all of that being said, on with our story. In the ice and snow of Lamordia, you all come to in a clearing where mere moments ago the carnival stood. But Witch and his partner Light, apparently the new, once and future owners and leaders of the carnival, thrust Nepenthe into the ground, and a shockwave erupted, violently ejecting all of you. The ground is rocky, covered with just enough ice and snow to be miserable. It coats your clothing. Those strange creatures of birds with mismatched parts and squirrels covered in stitches still climb around the trees and look overhead as you all collect yourselves, still beaten and bloody from the conflict that you just endured with Nepenthe. The one shining light in all of this being, apparently you succeeded. Apparently Isolde, Ermos, Ildi, and the friends that you'd made in the carnival were safely delivered into the Feywild in what was the Witchlight Carnival, but I suppose is no longer. And yet, for all intents and purposes, they are now, and perhaps forever, beyond your reach. What would you all like to do?
Question. Was Uriah's coffin ejected with us?
Yes, it is still there and intact.
We have the coffin.
Oh, thank
Yes.
goodness.
That was a rather unceremonious ejection, I must say.
What happened to Hildy?
Time. The simple passage of time.
But do you think she's okay? Will we get to see her?
I would think that she's a good deal safer in the Feywild than she would be in any domain in these lands.
The Feywild doesn't have a particularly excellent reputation for dealing with children, but
Hardly a child anymore.
fortunately, she's a bit older now.
Wait, but if we did succeed, then we'll never know if they're all right. Does this not pain you all?
Well, we can go to the Feywild sometime. There's no reason we couldn't go there and see her.
All right.
I
Some
happen
benevolent
to.
force made me think that was not the case.
I stare a little bit of daggers at Ferran and just go, I happen to have requested passage to the Feywilds. That could come in our favor.
You have to understand that shifting planes from here is no easy matter. The fact that I was able to use Isolde as an anchor to take us directly to the Witchlight Carnival, I'm not sure I could replicate that easily.
Sure, I didn't say it would be easy. I said it had to be done.
Potentially.
I might have one of those anchors that I should probably tell you all about.
What?
I pull the wooden disc out of my clothing.
That you were given?
Given by Corridor, my former paramour.
It was not a wooden disc. It was actually a black rose, like a bud of a flower. And you produce it. There is no signs of wilting or anything. It is just a pristine midnight black rose.
Ah. Something tells me that if you used that as a mist token, you would not find yourself in the Feywild.
No, not so much.
Well, if
Have
the
you
Fae
heard of a
isn't-
place called Sithikis?
Yes.
Cool.
Try this.
So, just FYI, we've got a ticket.
Nahara, you
But
were saying
aren't-
something? Yeah, sorry.
Yes, if as a Mistwalker, wouldn't those tokens only work within the realms of Ravenloft?
Yes, Nahara, this is something that you would understand. The way you do what you do and the way Ferran does what he does are quite different. But not so dissimilar. It is almost like finding the right key to the right lock. You have an innate sense of how to traverse the mists. You're absolutely correct. He apparently is capable of transcending the planes themselves, but still needs an anchor of some sort.
So you're able to do that in any plane.
As I say, traversing the plains, especially from this place of imprisonment and torment, is no easy matter. I
Okay,
fulfilled my
Uncle
debt.
Sus.
I fulfilled my debt to Fen and kept my promise. It did cost me, however.
Well, is there anything we can do to help? Is there anything else that we can do?
There is still something I must do for all of you. He gestures at the coffin.
Desmond, what are you doing while this exchange is happening?
The second he says, I've kept up my end of the bargain to Finn, Desmond just starts walking toward Finn and puts a hand on her shoulder and just, How are you?
Would point out as you say this, both Desmond and Finn are still grievously injured. Desmond himself was very nearly thrust into the afterlife in the battle, as Nepenthe made a point of hurting you in particular, expressly to hurt Finn.
Fen actually turns to Desmond in his embrace and just bursts into tears.
And he just kind of like pulls her in and just, I want to say I understand, and I know I can't truly, but I understand.
Yeah, you basically have your arms full of a very grieving, tearful drow right now.
Yeah, and bloodied up. Desmond's fine. Just wanting to make sure Finn's good.
I mean, she's not great, but that's where she is right now. She hit her limit.
We've established all of you have lost things, but Desmond, you probably more than anyone else know exactly how she feels. To have the person you love somewhere out of reach.
And that's why Desmond doesn't say anything. He doesn't add anything else to the conversation. He's just got his arm around her, just as a way of letting her know that he's there if she decides that she wants to talk.
Valentine. You hear Tregram perk up slightly. Valentine, sorry to interrupt, as always.
Yes.
Strangers are approaching. I don't recognize them, a large one and a small one.
Coming from what direction?
You just get a sense of to your left, Valentine.
I'll take a look. Are they in sight?
Dr. Van Richten, Professor Van Richten. When you travel, do you attempt to travel silently, or do you make your way confidently through the woods of Lamordia?
I think the reality is any sound I might be trying to hide will be eclipsed by the clinkety-clank of the construct puppet to my immediate right.
Piddlewick, I knowing you pride yourself on both your subtlety and your stealth, as you are making your way through these frozen woods, how is Piddlewick traveling?
Oh, I've got my shush stick up. Shh. Shh. This way, Baba. This way, Baba Van Richten. Shh. Shh. Shh.
Valentine, although Tregram hears it before you, once your attention is called to it, you can't help but hear shh echoing through the woods.
Distinct little bells, apparently.
Yeah.
I will just kind of put up like an alert hand to the group to let everyone know that someone is approaching, and I'll kind of step to the edge of kind of the clearing where we are, and if I can make a telepathic bond with anything coming towards us, I'd like to.
Professor Van Richten,
Yes.
Your mind is, of course, a fortress in your line of work and those that would constantly try and impede on your will. But you are aware that, for lack of a better word, someone is knocking on the door of your mind. It is not a hostile incursion, but it is an attempted connection.
I allow it in.
Valentine,
Whoever
you are aware.
I recommend that you approach very slowly.
My child, if I wanted to harm any of you, you would have already been harmed.
Many have thought that. All right, come on out.
I wasn't hidden.
Who are you talking to, Papa? That was weird.
Nahara, you hear that voice that you instantly recognize.
Piddlewick?
Machine.
Piddlewick! And I run towards. Piddlewick, what are you doing here?
Lady, what are you doing here? We're following you.
How are you able to get
Nahara.
out? How are you able to get out?
Oh, I'm with my new Papa. Papa Van Richten.
The rest of you see a childlike construct, clearly a puppet, come barreling out of the woods and embrace Nahara, and she apparently recognizes it too. A few feet behind him, you see a respectable looking man with glasses and salt and pepper hair wearing a long leather duster. I would say Uriah talked about him enough, and you at least saw Uriah's artwork. That's Rudolph.
Also the
Van Richten.
name.
Yeah.
Did you say Piddlewick? Did you say Van Richten?
Yes, he's my new father. We're going to go on adventures. I'm going to be his ward.
Well, I don't
Much of that is a
understand.
fabrication.
I'm a fabrication. This is really coming up with Piddlewick.
Oh,
All coming
Howard, did
together.
you say Piddlewick?
sir.
Van Richten.
Brother Uriah, you got so old. What happened?
Not Brother Uriah.
Did somebody hit you with an wand?
Piddlewick.
Van Richten. Nahara, you know.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, long story short, my first life was that of Tatiana's. Well, you know the story of Strahd and all of that.
I see. And you.
And that's how I remember Piddlewick. And I'd seen him recently, but in a vision.
Say, how much time has passed? Here's the deal. I'm a clockwork man, but I can't tell time.
Well, here's the thing, Piddlewick. We seem to be jumping around in different times, and I don't know what time we're in right now.
Wait, Piddlewick.
What is happening? How are you
What?
little clock creature that doesn't know how to read his own clock time?
Papa, she can turn into a bear. But
Pardon, how do you know that?
Don't murder bears.
I can explain.
Don't murder friends.
Somebody's
I can
going to have
explain.
to explain. Yes.
I shall do so, yes, Piddlewick. As I explained, remember, our contract was that you do not harm my friends.
Of course.
We had an agreement.
We don't murder friends.
Exactly.
You are my friends. That's Finn, and there's Desmond. He's a wolf guy. He can become a wolf and a bear. And I do not recognize you.
Yes,
Hello.
Piddlewick, you do immediately know Nahara, Finn, Tatiana, and Desmond. You have never laid eyes on Valentine.
So pardon, are we all friends with the puppet? What's up?
No.
Well,
I wish I knew.
yeah,
How
we
do you
had
know?
met.
What is a Piddlewick?
Excuse me. We had, if I could explain, we had met in a sort of vision, an experience. I don't know what else to call it, but I seem to have remembered, and I'd spoken to it with Brother Uriah, but it seems as though once it was over that no one else did. And while things got a little complicated, I didn't have really time to explain all of it to everyone. And I apologize, but
Well, perhaps I can explain better. We are all best friends.
No.
And
How?
we have formed a best friend group.
sure.
And you, in the glasses, I recognize you from the fan art. Our friend here, and I point to the coffin, is going to be terribly, terribly peeved that he just missed you. Why are you here?
Who lies in the coffin?
That would be my
Your
love.
biggest fan.
He was
My nephew.
That provided no context to this man.
very, very fond of you. And
Brother Uriah Macabre.
He was not very fond of me, though.
I reach into my coat and I pull out a letter, a drawing, and I turn it around to show them all.
yes,
You got it.
yes, you've received his letters. He'd be so happy.
I walk over to Ferran, and yeah, that's the one.
That's the
That's
one.
the one.
Like,
Hold it in front of your face.
Like basically right in front of your face. It'll be, that's it. That's the picture. It is Uriah and Van Richten having beaten Strahd together is the picture. Art and audio. Paula. Shout out to Paula.
Yes.
Was this? I recognize you, sir. Ferran. Last time I saw you, we were cutting our way out of the horror of Hoban.
Well, my services are always my
You
skills
got
are
the
always
stains
excellent.
out of your tunic. Now, this gentleman that lies dead here, he was instrumental in the besting of the beast.
Van
Yes.
Richten do you open the casket, or does anyone open it for him?
Might I inspect?
Yes,
Yeah.
If
You
this
are an
one
expert
that
on.
gave his life up to take Strahd out, I would like
Yes.
to lay eyes upon.
Van
I can-
Richten,
This feels weird. Does this feel weird to anyone else?
when
I'll do it. I'll gladly open the coffin.
I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor.
Dr. Van Richten, when you open the coffin, inside you see a body that looks like it's sleeping. You're familiar with the mystical ability of calm repose that both prevents decay and also prevents rising from undeath. You see a face that is identical to Ferran's, just a few years younger. He is wearing a chainmail shirt. There's a tricorn hat laid across his chest, and a symbol of Ezra prominently displayed on his chest.
I look to Ferran, asking the question without asking it aloud, understanding that there's clearly something strange about this. The faces matching, because I knew Ferran when he looked like that. I remark on the fact that he is in calm repose, and I ask, what do you plan on doing with this?
He
man?
looks even sweeter than I remembered.
yes. Please excuse the good berry juice that's all over his face. That's an unrelated incident, but
It can stain for a while.
Kim,
It kind of makes it look like he was like eating brains or something.
So cute.
to answer your question, I have promised this group that I will do my best to return my nephew to them. You're familiar with the device known only as the apparatus.
You are muted, sir.
No, I'm not.
Oh, sorry. No,
We're just getting noise gated then.
Yeah, we just couldn't hear you for a moment. Sorry.
I was getting moody. Do you think this is a wise choice?
It's what he wanted. We asked him.
What's more, Uriah's return may be necessary to stave off a greater calamity. Now then, I just want to be clear. Piddlewick knows all of you, but none of you except Nahara recall him.
Right.
Yes, I, of course, remember him from, well, a certain wizard king's time at Castle Ravenloft.
Good old Whiz
makes
King, we
sense.
called him.
I'm not sure why no one else remembered what happened, but that is why Piddlewick recognizes everyone.
And now Piddlewick has brought you to us, Van Richten.
Well, I asked him to. You all seems to achieve something that many have tried and failed, lost their lives at. Brought
Yes.
down the beast.
Well-
I myself have come close to the grave trying to best the beast myself. How?
It is
I need to
And I-
look into the eyes
know your thanks to
of the people.
all of us.
And
What?
do you see? Go ahead, Mark.
Oh, I was asking what?
Oh, it is this lady, Nahara. She is the one who brought him down.
As I
What means?
unsheath with this blade,
Van Richten, she holds up an elaborate crossguard with the sigils of House von Zarovich carved across its hilt, but it has no blade.
it once
blade is-
belonged.
Please.
It once belonged to my love, who I was to wed, Sergei von Zarovich.
How is that possible?
I have lived many lives, sir. And while I don't remember much of them, my first life has become clear to me, and it is the reason why I had met all of my friends here. On my journey to try and remember my former lives, I had come to learn that my first one was of Tatiana, who Strahd had become obsessed with.
In my journal, I open it up and there is a drawing of, I knew you looked familiar. And it is a drawing of Tatiana in part of my research on Strahd. Oh, she. Well, that would make sense then. But you would be the one to bring him down.
It was.
Nahara, give me a perception check with advantage.
That is a 22.
Nahara, there's a spirit nearby. He's aware of its presence.
Can I use my crystal ball to scry and see who it is?
Absolutely can. As you lift up the crystal ball and look about 6 feet behind Van Richten, you see the spectral outline of a young man. Looks just like him. He's looking at Van Richten and he seems kind of sad. And he looks at you, Nahara, and when he becomes aware of the fact that you could see him, everybody but Van Richten sees him. There's a young man standing behind him. Even you see him, Piddlewick, but when he sees all of you, he says,
Could I use message to speak to him?
what would you like to say to him?
Who are you? You love this man. You bear a resemblance. You're his child. Does he know that you're there? Do I? Oh,
I'll just
he's
message.
lost.
Sorry, I was just going to message to Nahara really quick because we can all see this, right?
You all see this. You do not hear this exchange because she's messaging him, but you see
Yeah.
all the things the ghost is minding.
Right.
You see all that, yes.
So I'm going to message to Nahara and just go, should we open? I mean, I can form a telepathic bond between all of us. Maybe he'd be able to speak to Van Richten then?
I don't think he wants to be seen, if that makes any sense. At least not by him. It's something I just feel as though it's
Do I detect all of them looking?
I would say you're sharp enough, Van Richten, although you do not know what they see and you cannot see it. But you're
No, but
aware that
I am
everybody's
now
acting
looking at
strangely.
where
Yeah.
they're looking.
There's nothing there.
What? Please. Please. What is it? Please tell me what you see.
And as I message back Valentine, whatever it is, he's begging us to not say anything. I feel like I should respect that.
Holds his hands up in the air, and all of you see a spectral word appear. Everybody but Van Richten sees the words Erasmus Van Richten floats in the air.
I'm going to turn to Professor Van Richten and I'm just going to go, sorry, you probably wouldn't believe it, but a small spectral cat tends to follow me around. And every once in a while he decides to make his presence known, and apparently he didn't trust you.
I'd like to insight check for bullshittery.
I would like to contest
Roll
that with bullshit.
deception, Valentine. This is Valentine's mutant ability, yes.
So that would be because I'm going off that other stat sheet.
I have a
Actually-
27 for deception.
That is true, actually. Thank you, Finn, for pointing this out to me. You all have seen Erasmus once before when you went to Mordant trying to get Voronika back. You've seen this face before, although you did not know he was Van Richten's son. I apologize. What was that on the deception and on the insight?
She got
27.
a 27. There's no way I'm beating that.
Lying is a girl's best friend.
She's very convincing, Van Richten.
Yes, but I am looking at the faces of all of them. And
Ranzel Honan goes, yes, a spectral cat. Yeah, spectral cat.
The cat who
You know,
looks
sometimes
just
I
like
can-
You, Papa.
You know, Ferran, sometimes I can tell you're related to Brother Uriah. Sometimes
just-
more than others.
He just said, he
Yeah,
just
it
said
looks
that
just
the
like
cat
you,
looks
Papa,
just
yeah.
like me.
And Erasmus is like,
Can I stab
Oh,
Piddlewick?
he's putting up his shushy stick. Shh. Okay, we won't tell Papa that you looked.
you see Erasmus when Piddlewick finally calms down, like literally like looks both ways, like he's very awkward and like goes to step behind a tree and vanishes.
Whew. Well, I saved us again.
I really want to stab Piddlewick in the face.
Well,
So I clearly know that they're hiding something from me, and I'm clearly in a deep state of distrust now because I saw the look on all of their faces as things went down behind me, and I am deeply suspect.
Thank you, Uncle Sus.
I got a second uncle
Mr.
here.
Mr. Van Richten, if I may ask,
that's Professor, please.
Professor
Didn't
Van
go to
Richten.
college. Be called Mister.
My apologies, Piddlewick, and
You're welcome,
to
Papa.
Professor Van Richten. I have suffered a lot of loss in my lives. What is it that you suffer from?
Van Richten, you truly don't know.
I know I have a hole in my soul, but I do not know why.
I also understand that feeling, as I have been brought into this life as I know it, with that same sense of emptiness and not knowing what it was from. I will say that sometimes you want to know so badly, but it always comes with a cost.
I have paid many prices. Far too many. And I see that you have as well. You all look battered and bruised. Might I provide some semblance of assistance here? I can heal.
That would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
So he looks at the worst of them, and he asks permission to cure wounds.
That would probably be Desmond, I believe, is the most injured.
And Finn.
That's true. Finn was pretty bad.
And you guys are standing near each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I'm going to cure wounds.
Mhm.
On I ask if again they just met me and I'm reaching out, asking for permission to heal them if they would
Yes.
trust me.
Go ahead.
Yes.
I do a cure wounds on both of them.
Excellent. Desmond, give me survival with advantage.
$24.
Cold out here, but this is probably a safe place to camp. I mean, the carnival was here apparently for years, relatively unimpeded. So if you all were to set up camp and rest here, you're probably safe. Safe.
And the second Desmond realizes this, he's just, I'm gonna start gathering some wood, make a fire, because we've been through enough. Resting is probably a good idea.
Thank you, Desmond.
And he's just gone. Like, woods are his happy place.
Mm-hmm.
I walk over to Ferran, and again, having been on many adventures with Ferran, for better or for worse, I inquire about kind of quietly about the man in the coffin, and ask about the apparatus.
He was a great admirer of yours, you know.
Well, yes, I received many letters.
Yes, he was a somewhat obsessive, one might say, but a great admirer nonetheless.
I humbly appreciate it. Might I ask, is resurrecting a man the best course of action?
Well,
it's playing with dangerous magic.
Of course, there are more conventional means. If one wished that result, he himself was a cleric of some power. In fact...
And as a cleric, as a man of faith, he may have found himself in a more restful place, and to yank him forth from that restful place would be doing a disservice.
Valentine, I won't even make you roll for this. You absolutely hear Van Richten making the exact same argument you made.
Thank you. I also have the observant feet, so if I can see their mouth moving, I can hear them anyways. So I'll just kind of slink my way into the conversation. Professor Van Richten, they've certainly heard this argument before. As someone who's intimately familiar with the device they speak of, I brought forth the same concerns, but alas, Uriah has chosen.
I have heard many speak in mortal life of wanting to return, but when they go and cross over to the place that they don't realize, the paradise that awaited them in their faith, being pulled from that is a...
Well, that's the thing. Nahara actually spoke to him beyond the veil.
I asked him myself because there was an argument about whether it was right to, and while...
You spoke to his spirit.
Yes, after he had passed. I wanted to make sure that it is indeed what he wanted, because while several arguments were made, he was the love of my life, and I did not want to abandon him, nor did I want to give up on him so easily when he had given up so much for all of us.
Van Richten, I would say actually, this is something that Jennifer and Lori would have just told you outright. Both Valentine and Nahara are somewhere between life and death. In a state
and I will,
having...
as I am one to do, pop off the pearls and hold them in my hand instead. And you can see a scar that goes all the way around her neck. And you can tell it was a very, very deep wound that has healed over, but has definitely like a raised texture to it that it didn't heal particularly well. And has a little bit of discoloration to it. It's perfectly covered, typically by the necklace. And she takes that off and goes, "Oh no, I'm intimately familiar."
Yes.
So you understand the apparatus?
I understand having it used on me.
Yes. So
and I understand not having a choice.
But if this was his will and you have conferred with him from the veil, I would be happy to assist in any way I can.
It is... We had to ask him himself because it's not the right of anyone to project their own experience onto his.
This was my original question.
No one's projecting an experience, offering a perspective.
Very cool scar, though. You shouldn't cover it up. I think it's really badass.
We've all seen it.
I'm glad you're unimpressed. I
think it's very cool.
Thank you, Piddlewick.
Tatiana, What is Tatiana doing during all of this?
Staring in awe at this small creature, wondering at how it moves so. Is it the child? Is it?
Are you
Wow, I've
asking
never
me?
seen anything like it before. I'm fascinated.
Hello.
What? Was I staring?
Very blatantly and narrating while you were staring at me. You know you said that out loud. Rude.
That is embarrassing.
Yeah.
So
we
are you
don't
a
embarrass
child?
friends.
Well, Tatiana, we could take it apart and see how it is assembled.
Okay.
My girlfriend.
I grab it by the head and I start to pull.
Oh, we could use my sword as a screwdriver.
Does this tickle?
Polly, of course, it's hilarious. You think you're the first one to go digging around in there? Come on.
Maybe it untwists. Maybe it's like a flask, but it's animated.
I am not full of liquor, I promise you.
Are you sure?
You'd be more useful.
We might have
Sometimes
to,
I wonder.
check that.
You'd be useful if you were full of liquor.
So you didn't become nicer during your adventures.
Piddlewick, now that you are...
know where the apparatus is located? I'm sorry.
You do know where the apparatus is located. It is in Lamordia, which you are here in Lamordia. I will send you its exact location, but you are aware, and so are you, Ferran.
You know what? You are right, uncles. We should tend to the business at hand. I put down Piddlewick. Go on, little child.
I'm
free.
So then we're going to rest for the night, and then in the morning, I looked to Ferran and I said, I will assist you in raising your friend.
It would be most appreciated, Fenric.
Piddlewick II, would you find a tree and watch for bears?
Oh, absolutely, Papa. Anything you want, I'm on guard.
Can I activate the totem on my chest just a little bit so that it growls?
Her bare chest, where she has a bear tattoo, does rumble slightly, Piddlewick.
Oh, we don't murder friends. Okay.
Tiana, I asked you a different question here in Zoom. Sorry, go ahead, Valentine.
I've never been so thrilled to not sleep.
While this is going on, Firan will try to get Nahara's attention.
Absolutely. You all are making camp, setting up your tents, building fires, scrounging. Actually, you don't have to scrounge, because you might recall the people of Barovia offered up what supplies and rations they could. So you actually have a decent amount of hardtack, stale cheese and bland sausage, but it was the best they had to offer. So at least you will not go hungry out here. But yes, Ferran, as everyone is making camp, you are able to catch up with Nahara.
And probably Valentine as well, if I can get the two of them together.
Sure.
Actually, if you don't mind, since you three are basically the ones who don't sleep, there's one other thing that I would like to resolve before this, before everyone else camps for the night. Tatiana, what are you doing in terms of your preparations for the night?
Well, obviously Tatiana can sleep anywhere, and so she finds a tree. She likes the shade of a tree, and as she starts to shape the leaves into a soft pile, she looks over and sees Desmond, and his face looks a bit forlorn. She goes over to him. My friend, is this because you fell in battle? You're sad?
No, just it's a lot. Seeing Ben, seeing Isolde, seeing the loss, being reminded of all the other loss, it's a lot.
I wish I had some sage advice to offer you, but all I can say is A warrior must always move forward, right?
True.
You
Also, I'm
know,
pretty sure I can hunt for something around here and make some kind of meat because there's got to be something to cook. That'll give me something to do.
you know what? I thought I was tired, but it was hungry tired. I will hunt with you. This way.
Let's.
Thankfully, this time, as you two make your way into the woods, you are not swept away into the Shadowfell as what happens last time. But who knows? The night's not over. As you all bed down for the night, time passes. Piddlewick maintains guard to keep the bears away.
No bears thus far.
Good job.
You do find a moment where both Nahara and Valentine are not sleeping as always.
Good evening. Might I have a word?
Yes, of course.
Sure.
What we saw earlier, the phantasm of the boy, the words he formed in the air. You saw them too, yes?
I did.
And forgive me, but were the two of you communicating with him?
I tried to. I could see him, and while I was trying to communicate with him, he could hear me, but he couldn't speak. And so he was kind of gesturing
Yes.
his answers.
I think we all saw that, except for Van Richten.
Right.
It's the words that he formed. Erasmus Van Richten.
It is his son.
Yes. Yes, he died.
Did you know him?
I've known Van Richten for many years, and I've walked these lands for a long time. Yes, I was aware.
How? Do you know how he passed?
Well, it's his passing that actually set Van Richten's feet upon the path he walks now. The monster hunter's path. He was taken by a vampire. And rather than allow him to harm others, with Erasmus's insistence, well, let's say that the first vampire slain by Van Richten broke his heart.
Oh, I couldn't even imagine how. It's heartbreaking.
But that's the funny thing. He never seemed to mourn.
Well, that can't be healthy,
I thought perhaps he.
but it's
he
not for
seemed
me to judge.
to perceive what we all witnessed, and certainly he is no stranger to the supernatural, not insensitive to such things.
Why do you suppose it is that he can't see him?
I'm not sure.
Well, if he doesn't remember the loss, I would assume that maybe he's choosing not to be seen as to not remind him. If his child can remember and he's still following his father, maybe it would be too difficult for Professor Van Richten to recall the loss.
When
You might be right. It's
When you say that, Valentine, Erasmus appears there in the three of you. He looks in the direction of his father, sleeping lightly as always, sword cane nearby. And
I
he
cast
looks back
a
at you.
Rary's telepathic bond so that we can all hear it.
Mhm.
If are you able to speak?
Erasmus. You remember me?
He comes forward like he wants to embrace you, Ferran, but it's almost like he remembers he can't. But he's clearly happy to see you.
Fascinating.
It's going to be a really interesting part of the show for the podcast listeners.
I didn't even think of that. Erasmus can't talk, folks. Sorry.
Um,
he seemed to still have great love for his father.
Which is reassuring.
Yes.
His father
Yes.
cannot perceive him, even though we all can. To be perfectly honest, it smacks of a curse of some kind.
Well, now I have to narrate for the podcast listeners. Thank you for looking out for them, Valentine. He very enthusiastically agrees. When you say curse, it's like,
Have you heard of any curses of this nature?
The curses of these lands take many forms, usually designed to harm the most, to wound the deepest.
I can understand that.
But it seems imperative that we do not inform Erasmus's father of what we have seen.
you
Right.
see Erasmus just motions towards his chest and just makes a broken heart motion.
Oh.
Were you cursed by Strahd?
You see his face curls like he's genuinely thinking about it.
You don't know. Okay.
Well,
Faran, you knew in life, Erasmus was a good-hearted boy, but he was never the philosopher or the scientist.
Question, I'm probably also aware of the fact that it wasn't specifically Strahd, that I know the story, yes.
I would say by now, Faran, because chances are high Faran has searched for a way to help the boy in his own right over the years. I would say it's a fair assumption that he knows. And you also know that Van Richten does not.
So it wasn't Strahd himself. It was another, a Darkonian vampire, actually. And what's more, Strahd and Professor Van Richten did not come into conflict until he'd already begun his career as protector of the innocent, slayer of monsters.
well, it would make sense since if by Strahd's defeat that Piddlewick was able to leave the castle, it would make sense that had that been the truth, that Erasmus would have also been able to speak.
It's funny. The fact that Piddlewick is here with us gives me hope that your destruction of Strahd was of a more permanent nature than some of his other deaths.
I hope so.
Piddlewick drops down from the trees. Oh, sure is. I'm free.
No bears here.
Hello, Piddlewick. Hello.
I've been listening to your conversation.
Hey,
Piddlewick.
I'll bring Piddlewick in on the telepathic bond, and I'll just go, we're talking inside our minds, all right?
Piddlewick, the moment they make contact with your mind, what's it like inside Piddlewick's head?
Oh, it's a chaos of clockwork.
Oh, this is...
Ah, it's
Oh, God.
marbles and bears.
It's quite
It is
disturbing, actually.
Suddenly very loud in the group chat. Okay.
Very aesthetic.
Valentine, you see Erasmus looks at you and you see he very clearly like wilts a little, like he gets very tired all of a sudden. But he looks at you and very clearly mouths, "Thank you," to you, Valentine. He taps his head and just says, "Thank you."
I just kind of nod to him. Okay. I guess what can we do for you is you don't know. Okay.
He slowly walks over and he kind of stands near his father, very clearly watching over him. And he just sits down and lays on the floor of the tent next to Van Richten and just looks at him and smiles and disappears again.
Okay. So we know that he's cursed, and we know that the curse, we know it comes from somewhere, and it makes it so that Van Richten cannot see him. Do we
Or
think
Or
that,
remember him, right?
or
Well, I will. Yeah, Van Rick, you very much remember your son. You remember how he died. It's you cannot see him as a ghost. People have told you over the years, but you can't see him. You can't detect him, and so you've got no reason to believe he's here.
Oh, got it. Yeah, I was also under the impression that he didn't remember then. Okay.
that
Oh
was-
yeah, no,
that's
he
what I thought you said
remembers
earlier.
his son. Yeah. Hmm.
When I say he did not mourn, I mean he took all the sorrow and turned it into, well, rage against the creatures of the night.
I am familiar with the feeling of channeling what should be justice can very easily turn to vengeance and consume your thoughts and actions.
Okay. So if we're trying to lift this curse, is it just so we can see him as a ghost? And how does that, I guess, really serve him?
Might bring comfort to know that his son's spirit is near.
And perhaps maybe he would even be able to speak to him.
That is curious. Most spirits have no trouble communicating, especially not in these realms. It must be some aspect of the curse that keeps him silent.
And if Strahd's defeat was able to help Piddlewick leave, if we defeated whoever, but I don't even know who it was. How do we even begin?
Has many enemies. He has enraged some of the most powerful beings in existence, in this existence at any rate. It could be anyone.
As the rest of the night passes, with you all comparing notes, fortunately few solutions. The sun rises the next day. You all are able to make your way deeper into the heart of Lamordia. Both Van Richten and Ferran know the way. And after some hiking, you all crest a cold, icy ridge. And you look down on an unusual sight, the likes of which that, Finn, you've probably seen somewhere along the way, but for Valentine, Desmond, Tatiana, and Nahara, this is definitely a city almost beyond your scope and comprehension. It is metal. Everything is gray and brass. Steam pumping out of everything. Great gears turning and rotating in odd machinery. There is a river sailing by, that there is a very large ship with large chimneys on top that steam is pumping out of as a wheel rotates on the back of it, pushing it forward. Van Richten and Ron, you both realize this is the outskirts of Ludendorff. You specifically are looking to make your way to Schloss Mordenheim, where the apparatus would be located somewhere below.
Gaze upon one of the wonders of Lamordia, everyone. Ludendorff, city of wheels and steam.
Does it always smell like this?
I'm afraid so.
Kind of smoggy.
It is, for Tatiana and Desmond in particular, it is almost especially offensive to your senses. This place, the way the creatures are here, it is already an abomination. But this is a particular affront to the natural world. This is, even though the word industrial would not mean anything to the two of you in particular, this is about as far removed from the natural order as any living beings could be.
I use my unending breath to not breathe here.
You all see Tatiana's lungs inhale mightily and don't shrink.
And now we know our way to where we're heading. And as far as what we're walking into with this, where the apparatus is being held, is the dangers that stand between us and it, are there specifics that I would want to fill the group in on?
Van Richten, you would know that this place is dangerous as all the dread domains are dangerous, but not so much in the form of wolves that are going to leap out and consume you, but more from running afoul politically of the wrong person, or worse, being grabbed to participate in some bizarre experiments. Either
Now,
in...
this is a very powerful machine if it can raise the dead, obviously.
Oh, yes. You do know here, Ludendorff University is a place where many young people are taught these strange and arcane arts. And you know, in the past, there was a man by the name of Baron Rudolph von Albrecher who was in charge here. And most people think he's still in charge here, but hasn't been seen in many years.
Now, is there a cost to being allowed to use the apparatus? Like, and obviously Valentine has gone through the process already. So I'm just curious, what would Van Richten know about what we're walking into?
Let me take a step back. Valentine, in any of your dealings with Jennifer and Laurie Weathermay Foxgrove, do you think you would have ever shared anything about how you actually came back?
No, I don't think so. She didn't particularly trust the Weathermay Foxgroves, especially because one of them was constantly trying to kill undead. So I would say it's very rare for her generally to share the details of how she was reborn.
Perfect.
Probably not.
If you don't think you would have shared it, that is not possessed. That's not information Van Richten would have possessed.
But in all of my travels, if I know of it, yeah.
Well, it's just how Valentine in particular made it back is unusual. I was just wondering if there's any reason why Van Richten would have known that in particular, and I don't think.
I thought you just she had said that in our conversation earlier.
Oh, she did.
Okay.
Nothing beyond that.
A very twisty backstory.
Got it.
She wasn't actually raised here. That being said, Van Richten, you would know that this is a cold and difficult place where life is very cheap. They masquerade as scientists, but they just don't care. That's why all of the animals here are so strange. Pretty much everything has been experimented on, down to the smallest creature, which is why the birds and squirrels and wildlife are so twisted and mangled. It is more, I will tell you, actually, Van Richten, and Ferran Zalhonen also, give me history checks. Finn, give me history also. There's a chance you might have at least heard.
I critted.
Oh, natural 20. Okay. Yeah. I'm like roll for lore dump. We only play with one house rule, that a 1 always fails and a 20 always succeeds, even on skill checks. So you're surprisingly informed.
Nat 20 as well.
Another nat 20. That Finn has heard this also.
Bonkers.
You all know, both of at least the two of you, and what did you get, Ferran?
16.
Ferran, you have your suspicions. Van Richten and Finn, you two know the truth. That Baron Rudolph von Albrecher was in charge of Lamordia, but he was overthrown by his former assistant, Victra Mordenheim, who he created. He built her. She's immortal. But she overthrew and imprisoned him and has been experimenting on him too. You know, she is the Dark Lord of this place now, and she does not care. Like, life is meaningless to her. She has no emotions. She has no empathy. So if you're going to use the apparatus, you either have to convince her to help you somehow or try to take it by force.
Okay.
I just look at Van Richten. Do we try to convince her? Do we take it by force?
Has he had dealings with her in the past? Victor or Vic?
Victra. It's Viktra. Victra.
Is it all reputation, or has he had in his monster hunting?
Van Richten's been around. I would say that you've at least made her acquaintance before. You know that.
So is she a reasonable sort, or what's her vice?
You know she is an absolute egomaniac. Her greatest flaw is she talks like Siri, and she doesn't think anyone anywhere can be smarter than her. That is actually how you came to meet her in the first place. She invited you for an audience that basically just wanted to show off Van Richten. Yeah. And she herself is a construct. I would say with that natural 20, both of you also know that inside of her, she's got something called the unbreakable heart, which is where her power comes from and how she was created. She is obsessed with trying to duplicate it and hasn't been able to, which, knowing she believes she's the smartest being ever, is driving her particularly off the deep end.
So there is a thing that she wants, that she would like to have, that I'm sure we could offer in kind if we had it, or if we allowed her to believe that we had it.
And
now,
that
among
would
us,
be?
we do have a construct. And then I tell the story of the unbreakable heart. That was built by her maker, yes?
Yes, he was Baron Rudolf von Aubrecher.
Yes.
And no one has seen him in years, but you know, both the two of you know, that she's just got him and has been experimenting on him. The common person thinks he's still running things. He's just been busy for 20 years.
She's a cruel construct, unlike our puppet friend here.
No, I can be cruel.
Oh, we know, because you're Piddlewick 2, not 1.
Well, he died. Yes.
So,
Are you talking about the time I pushed him down the stairs and then he died?
yes, I am.
Mhm.
Yes! He's so clumsy.
Give me the short stick.
Oh,
It is.
You were saying, Fen?
If she's a construct, she shouldn't. So I don't know anything about constructs,
Well,
but
yeah. You want to?
no, not this.
we are a curious bunch.
No, take that stick away. I just don't understand how a construct could have wants or desires, or
Whatever dark magics brought her to life have consumed her. She is a very intelligent construct. She's ruthless. She is evil and twisted, and she has needs and desires as much as, well, I'm sure Piddlewick.
no.
I think I'm in love.
Maybe we can give her Piddlewick.
Tatiana.
Oh, Papa, can she be my new mama? Let's be a family.
That's not a bad idea at
That's
all.
the best idea I've ever had, and I have had a lot of great ideas.
Give me the stick. Give me the
Maybe
stick.
love is what would melt her heart.
Tatiana.
I doubt that.
Desmond, Valentine, all give me perception with advantage.
$16.
16,
30, 20?
30, 20.
16.
You all start to notice some things, but Tregram actually got a natural 20. So, Valentine, as you're observing the city below, you hear his voice come up again. Well, isn't that fascinating, Valentine? Look at the craftsmanship. Nowhere near as wonderful as you, of course, but close approximations. You do see that, correct?
The puppet?
No, further below. See that road to the right there? 3rd Street on the grid. See down there? In Valentine, as you feel Tregram trying to guide your vision, you notice down below, walking through the streets of the city, Tatiana, Desmond, you see there's people walking around. It's a very populated area. There's not high walls. It's not a hellish apocalypse like Falkovnia was. People seem to be going about their daily business. Valentine, what you realize is about half of them aren't people. There are zombies walking around carrying things that have like bolts out of their neck and things like that, that are servants performing menial tasks. Every few blocks, there are large, hulking, fleshy things like golems that are just made out of meat that stand on corners like some form of defense that the people walk by ignoring.
If I can, take advantage of Tregrim's nat 20 here and just ask, is there a single person down there like me?
Dozens, Valentine. I mean, understanding
No,
that no
I
one is
mean,
like
there's-
you, but
No, I see the neck-bolted servants, the
Yes.
mindless zombies that walk these streets. What I want to know
Right.
is if there are others like me.
yes, definitely. And I think, not to overstep my bounds here, but if I could direct your attention to that odd tower over there on the coast,
Yes.
I think what you're looking for may be contained therein.
Tregrim, when reanimating
Mhm.
somebody, is it a choice whether they come back like me or come back like them? And she just kind of gestures to one of the people carrying things. Or is it a gamble?
I mean, you, of course, exist due to the might and wisdom of the almighty Godbrain. All hail the Godbrain. There were other experiments that were perhaps less effective.
Do you think that they're intentionally making a little army of servants down here, or do you think that these are mistakes?
Again, humble servant. But if I had to say what I would think, it is almost like, are you aware of ants, Valentine?
Yes.
How there's worker ants, and then there's warrior ants, and then there's queen ants.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's doing this on purpose. Quite effectively, might I add.
Very.
Valentine, I realize you don't need my counsel, only my service, but I would be remiss if I just said that those down there, even the ones that are like you, they're not like you. I mean, you're you. They're just them.
Thank you, Tregrim. And your counsel becomes more valuable each day.
Then allow me to quit while I'm ahead. And you very much feel Tregrim's presence drop to silence.
I'd like to try and pull Professor Van Richten for a little bit of a sidebar,
Mm-hmm. Let me just
if I
ask
may.
one question. Would you intend to talk to him before you were heading towards the city, or kind of as you're making your way?
I'm happy to do a walk and talk.
Yeah, then as you all are making your way down, and as we've established, you have a mental connection that the doctor has allowed. I keep saying I switch between doctor and professor. You're a professor of doctorology. You're Van Richten.
Right. Professor Van Richten, I've been observing the people of this city. I'm sure you've probably noticed as well, we are surrounded by those that must be brought back by the apparatus. I don't know, based on the way that I was created, as I was a very little part of the process, I don't know if there is a gamble in bringing Brother Uriah back. I don't know if it's quite down to an art form of bringing him back as he
If
was.
what you're suggesting is that the apparatus is what created the minions in the city, then it itself may be a flawed device. There
And
may
it's-
be corruption within.
And it's possible she's just doing this on purpose to raise people from the dead as menial servants, which is deeply disturbing even to me.
Well, we will know more when we get our eyes upon the machine, and we will know more when we finally meet its master.
You are the only person that has seen the, I suppose, other side of this that I recognize. I know that he
I
said
have
he wants to come
witnessed
back, and
many
I
that
want,
have come back, yes.
I want to do what he asks. I believe that that is what we have to do, but I
It
don't.
is not a simple resursion of the ghost within to the corporeal body. It is not that easy. Transference, things can change. Things can corrupt upon the transfer.
And though I know very little about the outside of the process, the inside of the process is, it will change you. And it certainly
I
changed
worry
me.
that Nahara, in all of her hoping, will not receive the man she said goodbye to.
I don't know how she could.
Well, if you are living proof of what you were before and what you are now, I will have to trust your advice. I have not gone through it myself. But
Would you
if this
believe
is
I
the
was
wishes and
personable
wills-
before?
I find you very personal.
I have worries.
I share those worries. And when the time comes, if we find that the process will be flawed and what comes through is either in pain and suffering or will cause you all pain and suffering, then we may do what we have to do.
I wish only the path of least suffering.
Indeed.
For everyone.
Indeed.
As you all are making your way down into the town, everybody give me one more perception check.
I'm very distracted.
Your mind is elsewhere. Yep.
18.
18.
I had an 8, so I was deep in conversation.
Perfect. Yes. Your minds were
13.
literally elsewhere. Actually,
19.
what did Piddlewick get?
Oh, I didn't roll. It rolled for me.
Yes, that's
Uriah.
it. Rolled for Piddlewick and Haran. Yes, absolutely.
Let's see here. I don't have his stats, but I will roll a d20.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that
Just tell me what you get on the die for
That's a
Piddlewick.
natural one.
I got a
Piddlewick.
1.
You've
I'm
successfully
number 1.
Yes, you win by default, Piddlewick. What did Farhan get?
15.
15. And Tatiana and Desmond?
13.
18.
Tatiana. While in 19 for Finn. Excellent. As you all
I also got an 18.
18. Perfect. As you all are making your way down towards the outskirts of this town and kind of making your way into these strange cobblestone with gas-lit lamps that seem to be burning perpetually like torches that never extinguish, you see people going about their business here in the city. And the two, actually, Finn, Nahara, and Tatiana all notice this. There is a large building. It would be a barn if you were in a city, in a farm, but in this strange place, it is like where they warehouse materials or something like that. You see a pair of golden eyes that are looking up over a ledge, very intently staring at Piddlewick, who does not notice at all.
Should we be alarmed?
I'm going to physically put myself in between Piddlewick and the eyes and say, look, friends don't murder friends. I'm helping you out. Kind of like put my arm around him.
I knew we were best friends.
When
I'm not opposed to it.
Probably best that you don't wander off, Piddlewick.
Oh, I will stay with you.
when you say that, you see the person like looks and like very clearly realizes you've seen her and stands up for a moment, and you see a glowing golden beating heart, and she ducks down behind the window. And that is a good place for us to take a little break. So we're going to do a quick 10. Don't go nowheres. And we will come back, find out who this mysterious person is. And we are back. Wait, let me make sure we're actually back. Yes, and we are back. Here, on the streets of Ludendorff, outside this strange building, you've seen what clearly was an artificial girl with pale grayish skin and golden eyes. And when she stood up, you caught the briefest glimpse of a golden beating mechanical heart before she dove back down behind the windows. What would you all like to do?
Nahara, Finn, you saw that too, right?
No.
Yes.
We didn't see it.
Tatiana,
I did not
Desmond, and Nahara saw it. Finn, Tatiana, and Nahara saw it. Yes.
Yes, I'm asking them.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that was?
What is it that you saw?
I don't know.
What was?
Probably another construct based on where we are.
There was
Professor
something with
Dr.
a
Van
glowing.
Richten. We didn't get a chance to formally meet you and I yet, Tatiana. It was glowy, and it was yellow, orange, gold.
Shocking about the heart that we saw.
Yeah.
From its.
Yeah, not the instance of our meeting.
So would Van Richten know the story of what they saw?
What you'd heard, Van Richten, is that Dr. Mordenheim had this one-of-a-kind unbreakable heart. And yet what they're describing is not at all the woman that you have had dealings with. And now that you think about it, even though she told you she had this unbreakable heart, she was never glowing or anything. She just said it.
But I do in my notes have, as when things are passed word of mouth, stories get jumbled. Facts become lore become facts. Something is not sitting right. Please, and then they described her to me.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this Dr. Mordenheim herself, whether she be construct or not, she creates them. But I do know that when I dealt with her, I did not see any about.
Okay, so maybe she could help us create a person again out of, say, a corpse that's getting a little
No.
rotted. And not rotted, obviously. We did the spell, but like
No.
I still feel like there's a time
That's
limit.
that's not what Uriah agreed to.
Right.
That would be creepy.
Come on. It could be really
You're
cool.
creepy.
Me? No.
No.
Oh, the little puppet man. Right. Yeah, that's
He's
kinda
just
true.
unique.
To be fair,
creepy.
couldn't
I
most
look
of
up
us
at
be considered creepy depending on who's proceeding?
Desmond.
I'm just asking a question that feels fitting.
No, that's valid. But Fen, how are we supposed to do this without her help?
I didn't say don't get her help. I was saying no to constructing a fake Uriah.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess we're not constructing a fake Uriah, but we're.
Or no,
the
we're
carrot
not
they get
using
right.
his body. No.
So
Yeah, that's what
the
you
window
have
that we saw her,
very
just
good.
I want to get geography real quick,
Mm-hmm.
or that they saw her.
Mm-hmm.
How high is it?
It's about 20 feet up. She's essentially in a warehouse. It's just you
And
guys,
how
most
far
of you have
away
never
are we
seen a
from
warehouse
it?
across the street. Like as you were walking by, she was like looking out the window at Piddlewick, realized that she'd been made and hid. Like
But the
there's
building
Does it seem
does
like
the-
a second floor based on her size, or is she 20 feet tall?
it would be a second floor based on her size. She looked person sized. There is
And
the door
does
to
Either
the
a,
building.
a very skinny tall person with really long legs, or on the
Just
second
hiding
floor.
behind-
Those are my-
Do we at least recognize this building as being out of place with the rest of the landscape? Or
No,
does
it
it look
looks like every other building in Ludendorff.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
imagine a warehouse in an industrial area. It's just you guys have never been in an industrial area in your life
Oh,
before.
okay.
That's,
I
that's
was-
basically what it's like.
All right, I was confused by okay.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to
Perhaps-
describe it in terms that you all would know.
Perhaps I should admit something. I myself have been in correspondence with Dr. Mordenheim. That was my initial plan going in. We could hardly do anything without her assistance. The apparatus is, after all, a device of arcane science.
Are you on good terms?
I wouldn't say friendly
Anyone
terms, but
is
cordial.
good
Cordial.
terms.
Or sure, all right.
Is
Then
she
let's go.
expecting some sort of payment in return? Not that Uriah is not worth it. He is. It's just, well, we should know.
Well,
She
we
doesn't seem
have
like she would
discussed
take, you know.
the potential payment that might be to her liking.
Oh,
Right.
What did you have on the other side of your hand?
Van Richten,
Well, then-
did I hear that you were approaching the building?
Yes.
Is,
Well, approaching the building of well, are we close to where we want to be to see Mordenheim, where the apparatus is?
you are aware that Mordenheim has a tower on the other side of town. This building is about as far as you can be from there, but still be in Ludendorff.
And we know that Mordenheim desires finding another unbreakable heart.
Correct.
So then it would be at least prudent to find out, because we don't know where this one came from.
Correct.
So let's go rapping on the door of the warehouse, or at least enter the warehouse.
When you turn the knob turns, but very much feels like it's been blocked by something, like someone has barred the door from the other side.
Would you all like me to
Puppet
shoot
friend,
you?
yes, I was going to ask you, can you
This is
go
kind
up
of
the
my
drain
thing.
pipe?
I can climb and go through a window and then try to unlock whatever this is.
Piddlewick, even you, Tatiana, you're right. This is what you do. But even before you can put your shoulder into it, this construct has gone up a drainage pipe faster than you could imagine.
Oh,
And Piddlewick, as you shimmy up and you get to a window and you look inside, the place is basically ruins. There's boxes and cobwebs, strange machinery that isn't working. But you see that gray-skinned girl running as fast as she can, and she turns around and she looks at you, and she just stops and she stares at you. And you see the heart begins to glow slightly.
Oh.
Tatiana.
She's got. Oh.
Oh, no, go ahead, Piddlewick.
This
She's
is their
got a
mute-
glowing heart of gold.
Shush stick. Throw it down. Throw it down. Throw down the shush stick.
But she's on the other side of the window.
Tatiana, you
that's it.
easily shoulder this door open. I won't even make you run. Won't even make you roll for it. And as Valentine takes the shush stick, the light spreads into this dusty building, and you see the girl as described. She very quickly tries to pull a coat closed, but the glow of her golden heart is still coming up around her neck. And she sees you, Tatiana, as you come through, and she just goes, leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Stay still. We just have questions.
Everybody always says that. Everybody just wants something from me. Stay back. I'll defend myself.
I
Hey.
shall cast Otterluke's Resilient Sphere. If you would, a moment of your time.
Is there any save for her on this, or is she merely imprisoned by the act of it?
Hold on one sec. I believe it's a dex save.
I rolled a 2, so it kind of doesn't matter.
Currently, a spherical wall of force, essentially. Bloop.
You see the spear appears around her, and she goes, no, 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 and punches it, and you all hear thoom, like a shockwave goes out through it. But as you know, it doesn't break Farron, although it requires all of your concentration. And she goes, no, 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 oh no.
Calm yourself. We merely wish to talk. And we'd prefer if you didn't abscond during our conversation.
You see she very much looks around and is like running her hands on the inside. Like it is obvious to all of you she's trying to figure a way out, even while Farron's talking to her. And she hits it again, and you hear the loud echo that goes out through the place, but it doesn't break.
Strong one. Perhaps someone could have a word with her?
Can I step forward?
Does anyone close the door behind them when you all come in?
Let's say I did.
Perfect. Hashtag asking for a friend. Okay. All of you give me insight. Valentine, you can give it to me with advantage because this is what you do.
I rolled an 18 both times. So it's weird.
Hey.
25.
25.
Nat 20 for a 29.
Natural
20.
20.
20.
30,
Got
20.
23.
23.
And that was insight, you said?
Yes, please.
Nat 20 plus 5.
Add 20, Desmond.
3.
3, and Tatiana.
17. But man, 2 nat 20s tonight.
I mean,
for Finn?
Desmond, you're like, that girl's got a pretty strong overhand right. That's wild, you know? The rest of you realize she's terrified. She's reacting almost more like a cornered animal. We're trying to get out of here. I believe it was Nahara and Finn with the natural 20s.
Yes.
It is also clear to you she's artificial, whatever she is. Although, as you're looking at her, she's not completely artificial. She's not so different from Valentine and Nahara. You feel like she was a living thing once. She is not a conglomeration of bolts and plates. There are no nuts sticking out of the side of her neck or anything of the sort. She actually looks like a human girl that is just sort of pale gray, like a corpse, but has this glowing golden heart and apparently significant strength that comes with it. But one thing all of you, with the glowing exception of Desmond, are very clear on is she's incredibly afraid. She's a cornered animal right now, trying to find a way out of here.
Oh, I don't think that this is the best way to maybe... I feel like we've made her a little more nervous.
I cast Calm Emotions.
What is your save, DC?
16 charisma save.
17 on the die. Valentine, as you reach out and try and gently impose your will on her, it is like a tidal wave comes back. And again, it is not rage. It's terror and desperation and sadness that you feel pushing back against you, Valentine. And you all hear before, just 1 second, Valentine, she very much is like, no, I won't go back. I won't go back. I won't go back. I won't go back. And yes, Valentine, I think you were going to say something.
I believe that Dr. Van Richten actually was going to.
Yes, Van Richten.
Is she saying this? Is she saying this out loud, or is she saying that in
You
her
all
mind?
very much hear her saying, I won't go back. I won't go back.
Child. We will not take you where you fear.
Van Richten?
You would recognize her now?
I've read your books. You've never seen this person before in your life,
No.
Van Richten, but it's not uncommon for people to recognize you.
Have you enjoyed the books, child?
Well, I do have one problem with them.
Please.
You always destroy the monsters. Not every monster chose to be what they are. Not every monster deserves destruction. Some just want to be left alone and live in peace.
And I assure you, I do not destroy the ones who don't harm any, who choose to not harm. The ones that do want to be let alone.
You must sometimes regret putting that etching of your face in your book jacket. Everyone's a reviewer.
They're all a critic.
Suppose.
Do you have a name?
See, she just sort of runs her fingers through her hair and she says, I suppose the merciful tales don't sell as well. What manner of creature is that? She completely ignores you asking for her name and points at Piddlewick. What is that?
Ah. Hello.
This is Piddlewick the Second. What is your name?
Piddlewick, you see she kneels down and she looks at you and she says, Hi, Piddlewick the Second. I'm Elise.
Oh, hello, Elise. I think you and I are the same type.
You have an
She's not
unbreakable
gonna
heart
date
too?
you.
Oh, yeah, it's a clockwork heart.
Piddlewick, I would say if you choose, you would be capable of sort of showing her your inner workings if you wanted to.
I removed my big button and I show her. I whip my chest open. Look at Elisa.
You all do see Piddlewick is a complex web of old rusty gears. Like, again, it is impossible to know how old he actually is, but he's old. And you see her eyes just widen, and both Valentine and Ferran, you two being the ones actively trying to ensorcer her at the moment, feel her relax slightly when she sees Piddlewick.
When I feel her do that, I'm going to say, Elise, I'm going to drop the sphere and you will settle to the ground. We'd just like to continue our conversation. You and Piddlewick can speak, yes?
Piddlewick, can I trust them to maintain their word that if they release me?
Absolutely. These are our friends, and friends don't murder friends.
I mean, I suppose friends don't murder friends. Fine.
Policy we all
applicable
uphold.
this time.
Yeah.
You see, she does just sort of hold her hands up, Ferran.
And Ferran cancels the spell.
You definitely see a glint in her eye where for a split second she contemplates bolting. But then her eyes kind of fall on Uriah's casket. Just, what is that?
Friends don't let friends stay murdered.
We're gonna make him like us.
No, you're not.
Not precise,
No.
but
Less clocks.
yes.
No, not the same.
My clock doesn't work anyway, so.
Oh.
Come to Lamordia seeking the assistance of, well, a device that we think can help our friend.
The apparatus.
You know it.
Intimately.
I see.
Oh.
Yes, the apparatus can give life and unlife.
Do you remember your life before?
Bits and pieces. It was always so cold before. I don't miss the cold. I just don't feel it. But there was warmth, there was fires, there was soup, there were warm embraces, all lost to me now.
Why do you find
Is
yourself
there-
in this abandoned warehouse?
She has spies everywhere.
She is your maker.
Dr. Mordenheim, yes. She doesn't want me. She wants this. And she actually pulls the coat open again. And now you all can very clearly see a golden heart. But it's not like a human heart. It is actually like a heart. And it just expands and contracts slightly.
She wants that from you. Where did it come from? Where did it come from?
She made it. It was a
She
prototype.
cannot make it again.
This brings up an interesting moral quandary. Does it belong to you because you were created with it? Or does it belong to her because she created it?
Well,
The moment I could, I
a
fled.
child belongs to itself.
Also, obviously, you're making quite good use of having it. What does she want with it?
All of you give me insight checks.
At 20.
Natural 20. I'm gonna
16.
I'm gonna give this one,
28.
I'm gonna give this one
27.
to you, Desmond, even though those are some very great rolls because Desmond
23.
had one foot into the next world all day today. You know? Desmond, in a strange way, something about her reminds you of Armand. She seems dutiful but sweet. And even though mere moments ago she was terrified of all of you, it's almost like she finds herself opening up almost despite herself. There's just a goodness in her that you have not encountered many times in the mists. Quite frankly, not really since Uriah. Just unfettered goodness.
I just look at him and say, you feel to me like one of the kindest people that we've met throughout all of our journeys, and that is surprising to me because it's the only other person I can imagine like that is over there, gesturing toward the coffin.
I see why you fight so diligently for his return. It's even before I was strange here in Lamordia. It's not a place of kindness. It is not a place of warmth, bodies, or raw materials. I don't know why Dr. Mordenheim chose me as any more than the next person. Quite frankly, I have no idea how many people she attempted this particular experiment on before it succeeded with me. That's why I read your book, Dr. Van Richten. I thought, if there's people out there who live to serve, the stories of you and the Weathermay Foxgrove twins, as Esmeralda, thought maybe I could help too, but I can't escape this place.
You can.
I've tried. The mists, they close in, and the snow just pours from the sky.
I have not known this group for very long. But what I do know of them, they are capable of miraculous deeds. They bested the beast of Barovia. The sun shines again upon Castle Ravenloft, and if anybody can liberate you from the prison of this city, it is these people. Is there any way in your quest for service you could see to it to help them?
Nahara,
Friend back.
you see she looks at you, and she looks at the casket, and she looks at you again, and you see the glow comes up over this golden heart again, and she kind of puts her hand over it. She says, you left him.
With everything that I am. Still love him.
You can feel that with your glowing heart?
That's how I knew you all weren't really going to harm me.
Elise, do you know where the apparatus lies? Precisely.
In Dr. Mordenheim's tower. She's used it to create all manner of things and to torment Baron von Albrecher. I would say she takes joy in it, but I don't think she takes any joy in anything.
Albrecher, he's nominally the ruler of these lands, yes?
He's nominally anything now.
I see.
Mostly machine with the odd chunk of meat.
I will
Seem
admit, though,
familiar with-
seeing you gives me such hope, though. Your kindness.
True. If the apparatus is able to produce such as you, then we have hope it will return Uriah to us as he was. At least with his goodness intact.
You see the light from her glowing heart starts to expand enough that it starts to light up the room. Not quite bright enough for you all to cast shadows. And almost despite yourselves, it does feel nice.
Well, maybe she can be of help making sure that he comes out more like her.
Dr. Van Richten. Professor Van Richten, which do you prefer? I hear both so
Rudolph.
often.
You can call me Rudolph.
Melissa got that.
Or Mr. Doctor Professor.
Mr. Dr. Professor Rudolph. Why? Why do you keep doing it? Risking yourself again and again, walking headlong into danger and horrors, with all that it has cost you, all that it will cost you. Why?
Hopes that someone else may not endure the pains that I have.
Van Richten, give me persuasion, and you can roll with advantage.
Well, that's good. That would be 21.
You see, she just sort of looks at you and nods slowly. She... Okay. Okay. I'll help you. That's what heroes do. I'll help you.
Heroes do.
She walks over to one of the crates and puts her hands on it and pushes, and you all hear a loud groan as she clearly is much stronger than she looks. Tatiana, she may be the strongest being you've ever actually witnessed.
Incredible.
I think I'm in love.
She looks at you and smiles, Piddlewick. Like, well, if I survive the next hour, perhaps we could become friends. Piddlewick
Elise.
the second.
Elise, with the device, can it make me a real boy?
I've only seen it make real boys into constructs, not constructs into real boys.
Is there a reverse switch or something?
You all see underneath a jagged hole that you can see has just been burrowed and punched as the concrete is cracked and smashed, and you see it's where she came up out of here.
While she's like pushed the things over and she's kind of separated herself from the group a little bit, I'm going to turn my back to her and just go, okay, so I'm hoping this isn't a controversial opinion, but we should probably kill the woman, right? Not the child here, the woman who made her that's chasing her down for her heart.
That might be challenging.
And we need her to run the machine.
Okay, then we use her to run the machine and then kill her. We can't allow this person to just keep doing this, right?
One other
Like-
question. If she wants this golden heart so badly, that must mean she can't create another.
That is
Do we
also
need something
very
like that to
concerning.
bring Uriah back?
Actually, I have something else in mind. As Paran Zalhonen pulls out from just seemingly from inside his cloak, a glass jar holding a heart suspended in fluid. This belonged to one of Uriah's siblings.
Okay, score for creepy keepsakes.
You carry that around.
Yes, I have quite a few things stashed
People
away.
think I'm disturbing.
You know,
Well,
you
I
might
mean,
carry the toe around. with you.
Exactly, is what I was going to, yes.
It may be possible that if Elise has some clue as to how the machine operates, we might be able to circumvent Mordenheim's involvement.
Mordenheim is out here taking people's lives and turning them into enslaved zombies. I want to do whatever we have to do to get Brother Uriah back first. I am with you and I will do it. And then we have to stop this woman from using the undead like
I'll
this.
to kill
It's-
monsters, so I will assist in the killing of this one.
Okay, we're gonna
you,
kill
Professor.
things. I like it.
As you all descend into the hole, the light of Elise's glowing heart illuminating. The trip through the sewer is unpleasant but uneventful until you do arrive at a very large grate with all manner of once living refuge sort of dripping out of it. And she looks up, says, lost Mordenheim. And
Who wants to go? Okay.
she's like, allow me. She reaches up and you feel she kind of wrenches it and actually moves it to the side. She's like, if I tell you something, if I tell you something unpleasant from a former life, I hope you all won't judge me too harshly. Before, I used to work for the doctor. I would help her acquire specimens, dead specimens. And this is how I would bring them in. I swear to you, I'd never harmed any living thing, though. I just thought, well, she turns and looks at Uriah's coffin, and she's like, I guess I'd been raised to believe that they were just spare parts, but now I realize it's slightly more complicated than that.
We understand.
We've all done things we're not proud of.
I pushed Piddlewick 1 down the stairs, but shh. Don't say it.
Okay. And she starts climbing, and she says, I can bypass most of the castle. It's actually surprisingly empty. Dr. Mordenheim doesn't have much need for company, but I can take you one of two places. I can take you straight to Dr. Mordenheim. Actually, that is probably our best bet. I don't think you would want to see what became of Rudolph von Aubricker, actually.
I mean, you're gonna float it out there like that?
And she starts climbing.
You're like, Dad, really?
I mean, I'm sort of curious now. But
I mean, we kind of have to, right?
Would he, if liberated, assist us?
She stops and thinks for a moment, and she says, well, he was brilliant and powerful and hates Dr. Mordenheim. Perhaps the enemy of your enemy is your friend?
Ferran,
yes.
could you restore him at all? Or heal?
That is the work for a cleric, and sadly,
There's one standing right here.
Then
Restoration is my speciality.
if we can heal him, we can skip her entirely, get Uriah back, and then deal with the good, well, not the good, but deal with her maker.
yes.
Elise, do you know where he would be kept?
I would.
Will you lead us to him?
She very much climbs. And again, besides of the hum of strange machinery and the hiss of steam, this place is also very quiet. Even her creations don't really make much noise unless bidden by her. And as she climbs her way up, she does come to a large door and opens it, and you can see a hallway of cells. And at the end of which you can see strange alchemical preparations. Van Richten, you immediately recognize it as a lab. For the rest of you, there are fires. Ferran, you would know an alchemical lab when you saw one also. But for the rest of you, it is a strange assemblage of colorful flames, glass vials, bubbling and boiling, but there's still heavy bars on the door. And no sign of anyone inside, although you can't see everything from down here.
What is the gentleman's name again that we are looking for?
Baron Rudolph von Aubricker.
I wriggle through the bars.
Mm-hmm. Piddlewick, as you wriggle through the bars, it takes you a second to notice, in the midst of all of the other furniture, you do see something that looks like the picture I'm about to send. At first, it looks like a brain in a jar on a pedestal.
Ooh.
But as it slowly rotates towards you, there is a purplish torso with an arm that ends in a gasket of some sort and a fleshy, skinless arm that goes down to a bronze cap with no legs. And it looks, and you hear, "What manner of construct are you?"
I'm Piddlewick, too. Von Richten.
Von Richten?
Yes, it's my papa.
You see,
What kind of
it's
construct are you, other than super cool?
Upon hearing this
Mhm.
conversation start, on the outside, Ferran casts knock on the door to open it and just sort of gestures to everyone after you.
the cage swings open, and as you all make your way in, you see what was described. It rotates back and forth. You all have, of course, seen a brain in a jar before, but this
Yeah,
is,
are we seeing like a family resemblance?
this
Is it
time, well,
Stuart too.
Stuart was literally a brain in a jar.
Is
For-
currently on my back.
It's true. Stuart hasn't been too chatty for a while. He's like, doesn't want anybody to remember he's back there.
It's for the best.
Thank you, Tatiana. That's exactly what he looks like. There are artificial eyes have been fashioned to the outside of the jar. And there is some semblance of a neck in this hose that is allowing it to speak. It is like someone was turned into a brain in a jar and has slowly been reconstructing themselves. As you recall, Stuart did have the ability to manipulate things telepathically.
And I take because Stuart, I wear in like a kind of satchel-esque kind of thing on my back, and I kind of pull it around to the front, and I'll lift Stuart out of the bag a little bit for the first time in what's somewhere between a few weeks and 5 years.
Van Richten, you see Valentine pulls a head in a jar out.
Just a brain.
Yeah, a brain. It is just a brain. I apologize. A brain in a jar out. That I believe somebody had taken the time to draw a face on the outside of the jar, if memory serves. And you see it.
Who do you think would?
Could be anyone.
Anybody could have done it. Anybody could have done it. And you do see the brain in the jar slowly rotates in the direction of Baron Albrecher. And he just leans over and looks down at it. And he just says, "Oh, I'm not the only one to find myself in such a sorry state. What did this one do to offend Dr. Mordenheim?"
Not one of hers. Baron Albrecher, I presume?
"The one and only. I will not apologize for my current setback. I assure you I am in the midst of extracting timeless and terrible revenge."
That much is clear, Doctor, clearly. Or Baron, rather. I wonder, would you be interested in helping us anger Victor Mordenheim in great extent?
Ferran, give me persuasion, and you can roll 3 times and take the highest, because you've said the magic words, antagonize Dr. Mordenheim.
Persuasion, you say?
Mm-hmm.
15 or an 18 or...
As somebody whose love language is Schadenfreude, I really hope that this works out.
18 is the highest.
You see, he looks at you, and you see the artificial eyes sort of zoom in and out for a moment, and he says, "I am, of course, interested in antagonizing a lesser doctor an inventor. What do you offer me in exchange?
Just to Valentine, he said lesser, but like he's the one whose brain is in a jar. Just noting.
Yeah, no, for sure. And there's a real like petty anger attached to it. But
It's kind of sad.
I'm taking in the 2 brains in a jar, and again, not the weirdest thing he's seen this week. It's not easy being von Richten. I turn to the Baron and I say, what do you wish? You are clearly imprisoned here, so freedom is one thing we could offer you.
With freedom would come retribution. Help me abscond from this place, and you will have my assistance.
Did she do this to you?
She simply caught me unawares once. Even one with as great as me must sleep on occasion, and I awoke to find I was a head in a jar.
Oh, well, clearly you've been unfairly taken advantage of by one of an inferior intellect to your own vast knowledge.
Of course, it was my brain she retained, because of course it is superior to hers.
Clearly. You are no doubt familiar with the workings of the apparatus?
Of course, I'm the one that taught it to her. I constructed it initially.
Will it make me a real boy?
We can try. And you see the bubbles around the brain start to bubble when he says that.
Yes, that can be number 2 on the agenda. The first is
No, come on.
the first is a simple matter of restoring life to a rather well-preserved corpse. I have a heart already prepared, and we should be ready to go if you're able to assist us.
Finn, you realize Elise isn't there. She didn't come into this room with you.
That girl. Where is she?
I thought she was with you.
No, she didn't come. Is she outside the cell?
I duck my head.
When you lean and look out in the hallway, she has the casket of Uriah open. And she is leaned down, like with a hand on each side and a foot on each side. Like she's just like looking, like her face would be like.
I run over.
I run over and grab her. What are you doing?
He's sleeping, but he won't wake.
He's dead.
He's not dead. I know dead. I know dead.
He's very much dead. Please.
Be respectful.
Please, when you say he's not dead, what is it you sense?
Death is pale, gray, awful, motioning towards the Baron. Like he's so soft. He's nearly warm. His limbs move freely.
Much
Yes.
of death does
Just
not
good
look how you
spell
would
work.
expect.
Well, perhaps I should explain. He's mostly dead.
I didn't mean to. You see,
I note that if she's child size, I have picked her up.
she's like the size of about of a teenager. But yeah, I mean, when you try and pull her off, she doesn't really fight you. She kind of just goes with it and move. But she's very much looking at Uriah like she doesn't understand. She's seen lots of corpses. She's never seen anybody in calm repose. Like the death is unmistakable. Like I don't. Then she rotates, and you see Baron von Albrecher has floated over and looks, and he's like, "Oh, you've recovered the unbreakable heart. Good. I'm glad that you have come to me for assistance first, because I am the superior scientist. But I would be remiss not to tell you, Dr. Mordenheim would probably trade significantly for recovery of that particular piece of engineering." And you see when he says piece of engineering, like Elise just like knuckles up but doesn't move. She's just like,
What do
We're
we
not
need
trading
from
her.
Now, Baron, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Excellent.
well, fine. Yes, Valentine, you were about to say something?
What would we need from her? It seems like you have all of the information to operate the apparatus.
Yes, of course. I am Dr. Mordenheim's superior in nearly every way.
Great.
Everywhere.
Deception check.
Yeah.
I would like to insight check that.
Please do.
Me too.
That is mine at 20. It's my
Hey.
turn.
He's not lying about knowing how to use the machine. He's not lying about having taught it to her. In his heart of hearts, he doesn't really have one, but in his heart of hearts, he knows she beat him. That's
His brain of jars.
That's in his brain of brains. He knows she beat him. That's the bluster. He can do what he says. He knows he got outplayed.
Okay, great. Superior scientist. We don't need anything from her, right?
From Dr. Mordenheim? Or
From Dr. Mordenheim.
No, of course not. Never. Ever. No, nothing.
Well, then lead on, dear Baron.
You should be able to do this on your own.
Of course.
You are far superior.
Come along, Elise. I shall show you how a proper clinician operates. And you see he starts floating down the hallway towards a set of doors down at the end of this very floor. Only when Elise watches him walk away and she goes, I hate that man. He's not that much better than her. You all do know he's not that much better than her, right? I mean, he's better than her.
Absolutely.
Oh, he's seen. Yes.
He goes towards the doors, and you see as he approaches, they swing open. And in the middle, you see it. From those of you that remember your experience in Valentine's vision, there is a device that is about 3 times larger than what you saw in Bluespur. It is an odd mix of crystal pillars, of glass receptacles of energy of some sort, in crackling electricity with a slab laying right in front of it. And he hovers in and immediately starts, doesn't really touch them, but you see gears rotate and dials flip. You start to hear a loud humming and the hair starts to stand up on each of you. And he's like, we should move along quickly. We have no idea how long until she comes back. Oh, to see her face when she realizes what we're doing here.
Very well. Tatiana, if you could take Uriah from the floating disc, put him in position.
My pleasure. Let's get in and out of here. And I lift his
you
body and
go-
gingerly try to wipe
Tatiana-
off some good berry.
When you go to scoop him out of the coffin, Elise puts a hand on your arm and just says, sure. Are all of you
Elise,
sure?
We've
It's
had this
what he-
conversation one too many times.
It's a big decision.
It's what he wanted.
He said,
We have to try.
I am but a custodian to bring you here. It is not mine to pass any judgment one way or the other. I would not engage in such practices myself, but it is your friend and it is his decision.
I want to grab Nahara's hand and try and get everybody to hold hands.
When you start doing this, Elise very much reaches out and takes Piddlewick's hand and holds her hand out to Van Richten.
I'll position myself next to Tatiana, and then I'll just offer for the professor's hand.
Mm-hmm.
Firan Zalhonen will move in, open Uriah's shirt. He pulls a scalpel from his robes and cuts a Y-shaped incision.
Wait,
Maybe if we all, think happy thoughts about our favorite moments with Uriah, then he'll come back as him, right?
This, as you will see, is necessary. He uses a mage hand essentially as rib spreaders.
As
And
you
lift up-
watch he does this, again, all of you have been around bodies, but Uriah's flesh cuts easily and his blood flows freely. And as the ribs spread from the mage hand, you see inside where his heart should be, his ashes.
Yes, the incantation that von Zarovich used is one of the vilest and most dark of magics. But with this donation from one of his siblings, her name was S, I think Uriah should be restored. Over
May
to
I?
you, Baron.
may I just say a few words, please?
Of course.
I hope for the best in all of this. But just in case, I just wanted to say a few words about how much I will miss his presence in my life. I'm sorry that I could not have done anything to prevent all of this from happening in the first place. And she leans over towards Uriah and slowly wipes off the last bit of good berry juice and gives him a kiss.
No, Nahara, it is a strange juxtaposition. See the face of the man you love there, calm and peaceful, and yet mere inches away, splayed open, carnage.
I love you. Please don't leave me.
And Richten,
The chest cavity.
while this is happening, Van Richten, you realize Elise is squeezing your hand so hard, it's actually starting to hurt. Piddlewick, she's squeezing yours too, but you're a construct. There is no pain, but she might actually harm you if she's not careful, Van Richten.
Shake my hand a bit. And I actually wriggle it out from hers and place it on her shoulder.
It's just, when that was me, when the illness took me, I don't think Dr. Mordenheim said such kind words. I don't think anyone anywhere said kind words for me.
You've already shown your kindness and will only be reflected back upon.
I understand.
She looks at you, Tatiana, and she says, I know you can do it alone, but can I help? Can I help carry him?
Of course.
You see she reaches down and puts her hands under Uriah's feet, and she actually kind of looks at all of you expectantly, like she thinks you're all going to lend a hand for this.
Desmond's
Yes.
in there, no question.
Question is, Valentine
Absolutely.
doesn't, Nahara does.
Absolutely.
Does Finn?
Of course, Finn helps, but just point of clarification: isn't he already in the apparatus?
Not yet. He's in the
Okay.
casket.
Oh, then yeah, of course she'll help.
And does Ferran actually help carry him?
Yes, made hand.
Van Richten,
Lazy.
conspicuously, you notice Valentine doesn't, but you understand her having made her point clear to you previously. As you all move him over to the slab, you see Rudolph Albrecher whirling around, switching gears and flipping knobs, and turns and looks at you all and says, "There is no science without sacrifice." And you see a button goes down, and you the lightning anticipates, and you
Hand
see
on my cane.
Uriah start floating off of the slab, and you see the lightning shoot forth and begin penetrating his body, and the light becomes so bright that none of you can see, and the hum becomes deafening as it builds up. And elsewhere, far away, something very unusual happens. In the depths of the Shadowfell, that cold, gray, lonely place that all souls must pass through in their final rest. Somewhere on a windswept plain, Brother Uriah stands in the presence of the Raven Queen. It's not clear how much time has passed, Uriah. That is relatively meaningless. Have you been here days, weeks, centuries? There's no way to know.
Lady, you have shown me much in our time together.
Yes. I'm afraid, however, that this part of your journey has come to an end.
I don't understand. Surely my place is with you. You are my goddess.
Uriah, you begin to feel a tug on your soul. You feel yourself being drawn back. But one thing you know that most people that do not wield the all-powerful magic of mastery over life and death do not understand. The soul must consent to resurrection.
I feel a calling me back.
To be honest, I did not know whether your friends would be able to help you. But I set a path to guide them.
Then I could be with her again, with Nahara, with the others.
If that is what you want, then yes.
I wish it most heartily, more than I've ever wished anything, but is it your will, my lady?
There are things, Uriah, that I cannot reveal to you yet, but will be revealed at the proper time. Trust in that as you trust in me.
Ezra, Raven Queen, my goddess, I trust you in all things. I am your servant. But if you will grant me this boon, my gratitude will know no bounds.
It appears as though the fates would have you not be here at this time. But I will see you again.
Of course.
In the meantime, I would like you to have this, and you will know what it is intended to do at the correct time.
Thank you. I thank you for this gift and for all you have done for me, my queen.
My dear faithful brother Uriah, I very much look forward to seeing your true fate.
And as the Raven Queen's words echo in your mind, you feel an irresistible pull and a blinding flash of light in your back, Uriah.